The fastest way to destroy your peace, your confidence, and your entire future is to keep tolerating the wrong kind of behavior from people. And the scary part? Most of us are guilty of letting it slide over and over again. We excuse it, laugh it off, pretend it's not a big deal, or worse, we convince ourselves that we are the problem. But let me ask you this. How many times have you walked away from a conversation or situation feeling small, used, or disrespected, yet you said nothing? You swallowed the discomfort. You told yourself, maybe I'm overreacting, or that's just how they are. Here's the truth, and it might sting a little. The moment you tolerate disgusting behavior, even once, you set the standard for how people are allowed to treat you. So in this video, I'm going to break down 6 disgusting behaviors you should never tolerate. Not once, not from anyone, not even from yourself. Because the cost of tolerating them is way higher than you think. And before we dive in, I want you to stay with me until the end. Because the last behavior on this list, it's the one most people ignore, yet it silently kills relationships, friendships, and even careers. All right, so here's how we're going to do this. I'll go through each behavior one by one, and as I explain them, I want you to reflect on your own life. Ask yourself, am I tolerating this? Am I guilty of letting this slide? Because awareness is the first step to change. By the end of this video, you'll not only know the 6 behaviors you should never accept, but you'll also understand why standing up for yourself doesn't make you harsh, it makes you powerful. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it. Just so you know where we're heading, here are the 6 behaviors we're about to uncover. Disrespect in disguise. Those subtle jabs, jokes, and dismissive tones that people think they can get away with. Manipulation games. When someone twists your words, plays the victim, or guilt trips you into compliance. Constant negativity. The soul-draining presence of people who complain, criticize, and dump their misery on you. Taking without giving. The one-sided relationships where you're always the giver and they're always the taker. Dishonesty and broken trust. Lies, half-truths, and betrayals that chip away at your peace. Emotional exploitation. The quiet but deadly behavior that makes you doubt yourself, feel guilty, and carry the weight of someone else's problems. Now don't worry, we're going deep into each of these. But just hearing those 6 already sparks something in you, doesn't it? You're probably already thinking about specific people or situations. That's good. Hold on to those thoughts, because this is where things get real. 1. Disrespect in disguise. Let's start with the sneakiest one, disrespect in disguise. Here's the thing. Most people imagine disrespect as someone screaming in your face or calling you names. But the truth is, disrespect is often quiet. It comes wrapped in sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or those little jokes that don't feel funny at all. You know the type. The friend who always teases you about your weight, your looks, or your goals, but says, "Relax, I'm just kidding." The coworker who cuts you off mid-sentence because they think their opinion matters more. The partner who rolls their eyes every time you share something meaningful. That's not harmless. That's not funny. That's disrespect. And here's why you can't tolerate it. Because the more you laugh it off, the more you normalize it. And once someone realizes they can get away with disrespecting you in small ways, it won't stop there. It will escalate. So what do? You call it out. You set the boundary. You say, "Hey, I don't find that funny," or "Please don't interrupt me. I wasn't finished." You don't have to be rude, but you do have to be firm. Because every time you let disrespect slide, you're silently agreeing to be treated that way again. And trust me, life's too short to sit at tables where respect isn't being served. 2. Manipulation games. Now let's talk about something that's even more toxic, manipulation. Manipulation is one of the most disgusting behaviors because it's sneaky. It makes you doubt your own judgment. And manipulators are good at what they do. They'll twist your words, play the victim, and make you feel guilty for simply standing up for yourself. Here are some classic manipulation tactics you should never tolerate. Gaslighting. When someone makes you question your reality, like saying, "You're too sensitive, that never happened," even though you know it did. Guilt tripping. When someone uses your kindness against you, saying things like, "After everything I've done for you, you can't even do this one thing for me." Silent treatment. When someone withholds communication as punishment until you give in. Now, why is manipulation so disgusting? Because it's not just about control. It's about eroding your sense of self. It makes you second-guess your instincts, your feelings, and your worth. If you've ever left an argument thinking, "Am I crazy? Am I the problem?" chances are you are being manipulated. The best way to deal with manipulators? Shine a light on their games. When someone says you're just overreacting, you calmly respond, "No, I'm expressing how I feel. You don't get to decide how I feel." Remember, manipulators thrive in silence. The moment you call them out, their power over you starts to crumble. 3. Constant negativity. You know that one person who can find a problem in every solution? The one who complains about the weather, their job, their family, their health, literally everything? Yeah, negativity is contagious, and it's one of the most disgusting behaviors to tolerate because it seeps into your life and poisons your mindset. I'm not saying people aren't allowed to vent. Of course they are. But there's a huge difference between sharing your struggles and living in constant negativity. Negative people don't just share their problems, they dump them on you. They turn every conversation into a pity party or a complaint fest. And after spending time with them, you feel heavy, drained, and hopeless, even if your own life was fine 5 minutes ago. Here's the brutal truth. If you constantly surround yourself with negative people, you will eventually become one, because your environment shapes you. So what do? You set limits. You either reduce your exposure or shift the conversation. If someone keeps complaining, you say, "I hear you, but what are you going to do about it?" That question alone separates people who want solutions from people who just want to spread misery. And if they refuse to change, you step back, because protecting your peace is more important than babysitting someone else's negativity. 4. Taking without giving. Have you ever had that one friend or relative who always shows up when they need something, but disappears when you're the one in need? They call you for advice, for money, for favors, for emotional support, but when the tables turn, suddenly they're too busy, too tired, or just vanish like smoke. That's what I mean by taking without giving. It's one of the most disgusting behaviors because it turns relationships into transactions where you're the bank, the therapist, the cheerleader, and the safety net, all rolled into one. Here's the thing. Healthy relationships are built on balance. That doesn't mean you keep score. It doesn't mean you expect a 50-50 split every single time. But it does mean there's reciprocity. You give, they give. You show up, they show up. The problem is, if you tolerate one-sided relationships for too long, you end up drained, resentful, and questioning your own worth. So how do you stop this? Notice the pattern. Ask yourself, do I feel energized after interacting with this person, or do I feel drained? Do they ever ask how I'm doing, or is it always about them? Set boundaries. The next time they call with a request, instead of automatically saying yes, pause. Ask yourself, do I really want to do this, or am I just afraid of disappointing them? Test reciprocity. Try leaning on them for once. Share your struggles, ask for help. If they vanish, you have your answer. And here's the hard truth. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from people who only know how to take. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've decided to value your own energy. 5. Dishonesty and broken trust. Now let's talk about something that can shatter even the strongest bonds. Dishonesty. Lies, half-truths, secrets, broken promises, they all fall under this category. And here's why this behavior is so disgusting. Because trust is the foundation of every healthy relationship. Once trust is broken, everything else crumbles. Let's be real. We've all told little white lies before, but I'm not talking about saying, "I love your cooking," when the meal was just okay. I'm talking about consistent dishonesty that erodes safety and connection. Think about it. A partner who lies about where they've been. A friend who says one thing to your face but talks behind your back. A coworker who takes credit for your work. Each of those examples doesn't just hurt, it plants seeds of doubt. You start asking yourself, what else are they hiding? Can I ever fully trust them again? And here's the kicker. Once someone shows you they're comfortable lying, it's only a matter of time before it happens again. So what should you do when dishonesty enters the picture? Call it out directly. Don't dance around it. Say, this doesn't line up with what you told me before. What's the truth? Pay attention to consistency. Trust isn't just about words. It's about patterns. Do their actions match what they say? Decide your boundary. Everyone has a different threshold, but you need to know yours. Is this something you can work through, or is it a deal breaker? At the end of the day, you deserve honesty. Without it, every relationship becomes a ticking time bomb. And let me add this. It's better to be alone than surrounded by liars. 6. Emotional exploitation. Now we've reached the final and honestly, the most dangerous behavior, emotional exploitation. This one is tricky because it doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it comes from people who claim to love you the most. It's when someone uses your kindness, your love, or your guilt against you to keep control. Here are some ways it shows up. A parent who constantly reminds you, after everything I sacrificed for you, you owe me. A partner who says, if you really love me, you'd do this for me. A friend who only keeps you close because you're the responsible one who fixes their messes. This is emotional exploitation. It's when people manipulate your empathy so you feel guilty for setting boundaries. And let me tell you, if you tolerate this, it will crush you from the inside out. You'll spend your life trying to please everyone else while slowly losing yourself. So how do you fight back? Recognize guilt traps. The moment someone says, if you really cared, stop. That's not love, that's control. Redefine love. Real love doesn't demand constant sacrifice. It's mutual, it's respectful, it's supportive. Stand your ground. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to prioritize your own mental health. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. The people who truly love you will never make you feel guilty for having boundaries. If you think about it, each of these behaviors has one thing in common. They rob you of your peace, your self-respect, and your time. And listen, life is too short to spend it surrounded by people who don't value you. You are not a doormat, you are not a dumping ground, and you are definitely not obligated to tolerate behaviors that make you feel small. The moment you stop tolerating them, something incredible happens. You start attracting better people, better opportunities, better energy. Because here's the secret. The standard you set is the standard you get. So here's my challenge to you. Starting today, pick one of these behaviors you've been tolerating and cut it off. Draw a line. Stand up for yourself. It won't be easy at first. People might push back. They might even call you difficult. But remember, difficult to them just means you stop being easy to exploit. And trust me, the respect, peace, and freedom that comes from refusing to tolerate disgusting behavior, it's worth it every single time. If this video spoke to you, let me know in the comments which behavior you're cutting out of your life first. And if you're ready to step into the version of yourself who accepts nothing less than respect, drop a no more tolerance down below so I know you're serious. And hey, if you found value in this, share it with someone who needs the reminder. You never know. You could be helping them break free from years of pain. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss what's next.